lying or he's smearing people.
This is what we call classic anti-Semitism.
You think your narrative?
But actually, I think I found a way to say it. So, due to healthy eating, if you consume the right fruits and vegetables, you can relieve, not cure, but relieve certain diabetic symptoms. There you go. Not the whole thing, but certain diabetic symptoms. There you go.
Cannot deal.
I see you as the
It's like I lied to you, but in a good way, though.
modern day followers of the Nazis.
Aaron, you
know what
can't
I'm saying.
seriously be saying that Rabbi Shmuley is a successor to the Nazis.
Is a Nazi.
President Trump's plan to turn Gaza into a Middle Eastern...
You know, everybody lost their mind. He said when they compared the government of Gaza to what the Nazis were doing. And I'm just like, well, you can't be really that offended right now because, I mean, they rounded y'all up and did what they did, and you rounded the Palestinians up and did what y'all did. So, I mean, I'll just leave it there.
Riviera, embellished with a vivid AI video featuring Elon Musk eating hummus at the beach, has certainly divided opinion, to put it mildly. More importantly, it's kickstarted a serious debate about what happens to Gaza after the war. Arab leaders have now united around their own 5-year, $53 billion reconstruction plan that would see a temporary government of independent peacekeepers put in charge of the Strip. No Palestinians would be displaced. The problem is that neither Israel nor Hamas would be involved, and therefore neither of them is going to accept it. Israel is currently blocking aid from entering Gaza to pressure Hamas into accepting a temporary extension of the current truce. This weekend, wrongly in my view, it also cut off its supply of electricity. Well, Hamas says the second phase of a ceasefire, involving the full withdrawal of Israeli troops, should begin as agreed instead. Well, to debate all this, I'm joined in the studio by America's rabbi and author of Holocaust Holiday, Rabbi Shmuley, to the journalist and pushback host for The Grey Zone, Aaron Mate, and the Palestinian-American commentator, Omar Badr. Welcome to all of you, and welcome to you, Rabbi Shmuley, here in London. Let me start, if I may, with you, Omar, about this. I've got to say, when I saw that Israel was yanking its power supply and fuel supply into Gaza, knowing how many innocent children have already died in Gaza during this war, many, many, many thousands, I just thought it was an act of inhumanity, which Israel doesn't need to do and shouldn't have done.
It certainly is an act of inhumanity, and one that is obviously designed not just to demonstrate dominance and bullying and increase the suffering of the people of Gaza, which has been Israel's goal for a very long time, but more precisely in this moment, to try to figure out a way out of the ceasefire in which the Palestinians get blamed in some way. And what they're trying to do is provoke a response that would then justify the continuation of the slaughter. And you have to pay attention to the fact that Israel has been violating the ceasefire over and over again. They've killed over 100 Palestinians since the ceasefire was announced. They have prevented the entry of adequate humanitarian aid, as was stipulated in the terms of the ceasefire agreement. And they're just looking for any way possible to try to fall short on their obligations to trigger some kind of response. And it's directly in response to the fact that the entire world now seems to be moving away from...
And shout out my man B. Perez with the $2 super chat. He ain't had too much to say, just want to show some support. And boom, I'm gonna go ahead and share that message for the top for y'all.
Israel's ethnic cleansing plan for Gaza that Trump has endorsed. You've had this Arab proposal that has come together about rebuilding Gaza, endorsed by many European nations, but Israel's eyes remain laser focused on the need to ethnically cleanse Gaza.
I'm gonna go ahead and read that out for you because I believe that was supposed to be in your super chat. So are you aware that in the Jewish Talmud, one of their religious books, but it is their religious book, it says that Jesus is boiling in hell in a pile of seminal fluids and feces. They are satanic. Well, and here's the crazy thing is, here's the wildest part. Now, somebody actually pressed the rabbi on this. They pressed them on and they pressed the Jewish guy on the Talmud. I believe it was one of Alex Jones' people, I think, but they pressed them on it. And you know, they hit that man with, they hit him with the same argument that you hit every religious scholar with when you point out something crazy in their text. They hit you with the, that was written at the time. You shouldn't put it in today's context. And I'm just like, bro, you could put this in any context and forever. It's like, it's not like y'all saying, well, back in the day we believe this. No, y'all say it right in y'all book. But this is what they'll hit you with, my friend. That's exactly what they'll hit you with is, well, you're taking that out of context, and that was written a long time ago. So you feel me? It's the same way with weed. It's the same thing that we do with the Bible. Same thing we do with the Bible, and the same thing the Muslims do with their Quran. I guess you could say all religions are equal in that aspect.
And empty of Palestinians. They want to finish the job
Wait,
of this
really?
genocide.
Hold
And right now,
on.
I think this is why they're pushing for these provocations.
My bad, man. They was hiding yours, man. They was hiding they was hiding you, bro. I don't know why. But shout out to my man Hellbait says, fun fact, Coke used to put cocaine in their drinks back in the day to increase sales. Look it up, just like it had a navy of its own at some point. Damn, hold on. Coca-Cola had its own navy. Oh, yeah, okay. They were rich. Coca-Cola rich. So I could believe that part. But yes, yeah, I did know that they did used to put cocaine in the drink, and you know, I'd go back in time to try that shit out. I'd never do coke straight up, but I'll be real with you. I'll be real. I would try it. I'd be like, y'all put cocaine in Coca-Cola, look, put it in the fridge, give me a fresh one out the fridge, and I see what's up. Because I'm curious. I'm curious. How did that fly over back in the day? I wondered.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley, your response.
There is almost no electricity in any of the Arab world except what Israel provides Gaza. Syria has almost zero electricity. Lebanon goes through constant blackouts. Egypt, constant blackouts.
And how much cocaine did they put in there? Is that also a fair question to ask? Like, can you imagine if they put like, I don't know, maybe like a good gram or two of cocaine in there? Like, what are the measurements of this drink? What is the ratio or the concentration of cocaine to Coca-Cola? I'm asking for a friend. But all right, man. Shout out my man Adam Rogers. He says, Knight, always remember, Canada loves you. We love you even if you are angry. We as your best friends, we get it. And Canadians will always love you. Of course, man. It's always love with y'all. It's just come on, man. We just need to get this trading right. And if you can trade right with Canada, this will all be water under the bridge. We're not playing hardball with Canadians. We're kind of playing hardball with y'all government. So it's kind of like, I would say this, like the Canadian people kind of separate yourselves from this situation. I know. It's going to hurt y'all. And it is what it is. But it's y'all government that we're kind of playing hardball with, not y'all. Trust me, if they just play ball with us, we wouldn't even be here. So I'm not saying to go blame them and throw rocks at them, but I am saying that maybe you should, start talking a little bit. Start going like, you know what? Maybe we should stop tariffing America and let their products in there. Give them a chance. Give them a shot like they gave us a shot all these years. You feel me? Let's be fair with them. It's like, there's no hate with Canada. It's just that, we just want a fair deal.
Iraq is an oil superpower. They have
man, have a good night, man. Appreciate
Israel has been extraordinarily kind to Gaza.
Oh, yeah. Shout out my man, Adam Rogers, man. Appreciate the support. He's been holding it down. All right, man. Have a good one.
It's 2006 when the monster murder terrorists of Hamas took.
Well, it doesn't.
over.
But Israel doesn't pay. Doesn't give this for free. I mean, they get paid.
Well, it's heavily subsidized. But the real
well, hang on. It's not. No, to be clear, it's 11. Israel gets $11 million a month for supplying the power into Gaza, which is 50% or more of the power that Gaza receives in entirety. And after October the 7th, within a couple of weeks, Israel cut by 90.
I mean, come on now. How can we hate Canada when mostly everybody in here listens to Drake? It's hard. There's other Canadian things that we like, but it's hard to hate Canada. I mean, we all like hockey damn near. Like, come on. It's hard to hate y'all. It's like, what? Bro, that's like hating Mexico. It's like, what? Like, look. We have our problems with y'all, but as a people, y'all are good people. It's just that your government's fucked up and it's fucking with us.
The amount of power they were sending in, and they're now cutting the remaining 10% plus the fuel. So look, it's not an act of charity by Israel. They get paid significant sums of money for the energy that they supply.
Israel has a $700 billion GDP. $11 million means absolutely nothing. It is an act of charity.
But let's get into this real topic real quick, because this actually kind of pissed me off a little bit, how he kind of swept that all under the rug. And I'm going to tell you how he did real quick. So Israel does control Gaza's utilities. I mean, water, electricity, right? In a crucial moment where I'm pretty sure they got people on life support who's been injured and they need their electricity and they probably need their water for sewage and all that. They cut it off. during the ceasefire, though. So at the time where they can spend the most time helping their people out, get recovered, they cut the electricity to help, so they can't help their people recover. Like, duplicity is the word of the day, man. Bro, duplicitous is the word of the day.
And the real question is, why didn't Hamas, who have been in power for 20 years, use quadruple the amount of martial aid that Europe used for Britain to rebuild their cities after the Second World War, Germany, to build their own power plants? Hamas stole all that money, enriched Yahya Sinwar. Do you know that Yasser Arafat's daughter was just ranked by Forbes to be worth $5 billion? This money was stolen. They should have built their own power plants. They shouldn't be dependent on Israel. This is the story of Hamas. And what I would say to my friend Omar is, if you hate Israel so much and you falsely accuse it of genocide, let's imagine for...
All right, know what you're saying. He says, shout out B. Perez. He says, Candace Owens called him a member of the synagogue of Satan. Yeah. She definitely did say that wild stuff to him. And the funny thing is, I was like, I think she was being a bit facetious because she just don't like him. But I don't think Rabbi Shmuley is a evil guy. Honestly, I just think he's an extremist. That's it. He's just an extremist. He's a hardline Zionist because he's Jewish. Of course, I mean, why not? It makes sense. Does it not? Be Team U. But yeah, so he's a complete Zionist. So Israel cannot do anything wrong in his eyes. Israel, like, bro, he reads the history and he can read it the same history book we're reading. He can look at the same things we're looking at and he will find a way to put Israel in the right. Trust me, this man ain't stupid. He done read everything. He knows what the actual history is, but due to his beliefs on his faith, that all gets disregarded. And I mean, come on, bro. How grimy is it to say, what you mean? It was a charitable thing. No, y'all don't give Gaza nothing out of charity. They pay y'all for their electricity and water. Nothing you give to them out of charity, but bro, the only thing y'all give these people out of charity is hard times.
For one moment, that Trump says to all the Jews of Israel, 6 million, look, guys, 75-year experiment of Israel, constant wars, everyone hates you. Move to Florida, and Ron DeSantis is pro-Israel. And I grew up in Miami, and all 6 million decide, you know what, let's close Israel, not through any tragic means. Tell me, Omar, what then happens to the people of Gaza? Do they suddenly have liberty and democracy and freedom? No. Women are still killed in honor killings by their cousins, inspired by Hamas if they have a boyfriend. Gays are still castrated and hung in city squares. Gazans who want political freedom are granted none. There hasn't been one election since 2000. Take Israel out of the Middle East, and the Middle East and any country run by Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood, are still dumps where people have no human rights. Stop.
Damn, I mean, that was probably the most grimiest dunk on Islam I've ever heard in a minute. He pretty much said, yeah, all these Muslim-run countries are all shitholes. Let me just dunk on all of them right now, man. Jews in the chat, man, like that. That's pretty much how bro just went off right there. But you know what? Due to recent things that's been going on, and I ain't gonna lie, due to the Muslims' failure to speak on things that are going on in Europe, yeah, Muslims aren't getting a good name right now. I ain't gonna lie, like maybe like 2-3 years ago, being Muslim was like the thing to be. It was like the largest growing religion. Now I think Christians are kind of taking back their mantle a little bit. Well, by overly attacking Islam. And then Islam started attacking Christianity, and now we got these religious debates that are fun to watch, but are almost pointless in nature.
Israel, you know the problem is not Israel. Here's proof. Because the countries in the Middle East, like the Abraham Accords, so we're talking Bahrain, we're talking about the UAE, we're talking Dubai, we're talking Abu Dhabi. They have brilliant economies, and they never complain about Israel, and they hate Hamas. They want to see technology. You are defending the status quo, and you want the Gazans, my innocent Palestinian brothers and sisters, to serve as nothing but bargaining chips, leverage against Israel. Why would you want them to stay in that hovel, in that dump? I have been in Gaza. Have you? I was in Gaza before the war. I was there in 2001 with the Reverend Al Sharpton. It was a dump then. Why won't you allow the Gazans to have a plebiscite, to have a referendum? Let them decide where they want to live, if they can live in Jordan or if they can live in Saudi Arabia with a garden.
All right,
rather than you deciding that they should be bargaining chips against Israel.
Let me go to Aaron to respond first. Omar, I'll come back to you, but Aaron, your response to that. Piers Morgan Uncensored is...
All right, guys, let's chill on the tallow, okay? Let's chill on the animal fat. It's actually pretty damn funny. Y'all are funny as hell. Nah. Hey, man, yo, shout out my man Fox Chase. My man Fox Chase came through with the shout out. Hey, man, appreciate the support, big dog.
Is now proudly independent. If you like the show, we ask only one thing. Subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now let's get straight to the point. Support for...
There's a lot to respond to. There was an election in Gaza.
2006.
The people of Yes, and what
20
happened
years
was,
ago, there was an election
Israel
for 4 years.
Excuse me,
and they haven't allowed
I didn't
elections.
interrupt you, Rabbi. I did interrupt you.
Look, man,
there was an election. The people in the West Bank and Gaza voted for Hamas, and how did Israel and the U.S. respond? Not being generous to Gaza, as Rabbi Shmuley falsely claimed, putting it under an inhumane, crippling siege, depriving it of all the basics people needed to survive. Even certain types of hummus were banned from entering Gaza under Israeli rule. That's the benevolent Israeli occupation that Rabbi Shmuley wants us
they couldn't
to
even have
believe
chocolate.
in. The reason why Hamas turned to armed resistance against Israel on October 7th is because they
like, bro, they couldn't even have
tried
chocolate.
all other.
I'm like, bro, how sinister, how duplicitous are you to be like, not only can you have hummus, but you can't even have chocolate? Like, bro, what? Not even the simple things in life they can enjoy.
Means when Palestinians launched the Great March of Return in 2018, tens of thousands of people marching peacefully, they were gunned down by Israeli snipers. When Hamas leaders accepted the Arab League peace proposal of a two-state solution, accepting just 22% of Palestine, their historic homeland, Israel said they wouldn't even discuss it. So that answers the question of why Hamas has turned to armed resistance, because when they've tried to pursue the diplomatic path, Israel has ignored them. And that's the fundamental problem here. Rabbi Shmuley mentioned countries in the region that don't have electricity, whereas the other other countries thrive. Well, all those countries that Rabbi Shmuley mentioned, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, they share another thing in common with the Palestinians. They've been relentlessly attacked by U.S.-Israeli aggression for years. The Iraq War, for example. Syria, Israel's stolen the Golan Heights, is currently stealing more territory today. Lebanon, Israel invades in 19...
I mean, bro, that's one of the main reasons why Israel loves Trump, because Trump gave them Golan Heights. Pretty much, Trump let them take a little part of Syria. That's a problem. They've always been expanding their borders, but it's okay when they do it, though.
1982 kills tens of thousands of people, occupied it for many years, recently undertook a new round of massacres. So if Rabbi Shmuley cared about the people of the region and all Israel apologists, what they would simply do is say, for the first time in our history, we're actually going to accept the right of Palestinians to have their own land, not come up with these fantasies of ethnic cleansing, which Israel has tried to do since its founding in 1948. Say, we're actually going to recognize the rights of Palestinians to have self-determination, which everybody in this world has. And the reason why they don't accept that is because they're a Jewish supremacist state founded on this idea that Jews are superior, have a biblical right to all this land, and that's why they're pursuing their current path.
Aaron, let me ask you this. Aaron, on this issue,
and I would just say it's like a racial supremacy point, because if you ask me, all right, what do you think about, the Israel-Hamas situation? I'd be like, well, first I'm gonna have to take a religious standpoint out of it. Me either be Christian or Muslim, I'd have to take both out. Especially if I was Jewish, I wouldn't be able to look at this clearly if I had any type of religious stance on it, because a Christian is going to be on the side of the Jews. Of course, the Jews is going to be on the side of the Jews, and the Muslim perspective is going to be on the side. It's going to be on day jihad shit. It's going to be side of the Muslims. So I would just look at it off a moral standpoint of, God damn it, if I let the people into my country, they just kicked my ass up out of there, then took my land, then put me into a small section, how would I feel?
Issue of power, for example, electricity. I've explained how the process works. So Israel supplies more than half of Gaza's power. They get $11 million a month from the Palestinian Authority, which is gained from tax revenue from Palestinians. So it's a quid pro quo, if you like. But as we look forward here, my question, and I think it's a perfectly good one from Rabbi Shmuley there, is Hamas were given billions of dollars. Over $6 billion it's reported to have been given. And they could have gone one of many ways, right, with that money. They could have built a more prosperous Gaza if they wanted to. But instead, they spent or
due to reports. Now, I believe this to be true, but due to reports I've been hearing, that will be the point of trying to build I'm gonna be real with you, a power grid. If Israel just gonna come through and bomb that shit, it'd be a waste of money, would it not? Like, think about it like this. They keep telling you, whoa, why didn't you just rebuild your city? Why didn't you make yourself independent? Because every time they tried to, Israel came through and blew it up. That's the fact of the matter. And then Israel gaslights the world like, oh, we never did that. Oh, they just want to spend their money on rockets because they hate Jews so much. Nah, they can't build nothing because you're going to blow it up. And then what's the point of spending $6 billion on something that they know y'all going to blow up? They might as well spend the $6 billion defending the shit that y'all trying to blow up. Or at least defending themselves. But that's just my opinion on the matter.
Squandered that money on effectively building a terror network amongst the civilian population and then unleashing hell on October the 7th against the people of Israel. What they didn't do was make Gaza self-sufficient for energy or water or anything else. And my question would be, well, why didn't they? And as a result of that, what's your view of what's now happened?
Well, my answer is they were not allowed to. Israel subjected Gaza under Hamas's control to a criminal blockade, preventing the very reconstruction materials that Gaza would need to build the electricity. They bombed Gaza's power plants, took it offline. They've destroyed the water infrastructure well before October 7th. The basics that Gazans need to live have been denied to them. An Israeli minister famously said, we're going to put the people of Gaza on a diet, by which he meant we're going to allow in just enough food so that people can survive without a full-blown starvation crisis, but they're going to be hungry. Damn. So if you want to know why Gaza has not built...
feed you enough to where you won't die, but you'll always be hungry. It's wild. It's crazy and sinister to think about. But, yep. Now, if you can understand the plight of the Palestinian people, maybe you can understand why October 7th happened. Like I said, when you snapshot at October 7th, the Palestinians look like terrible people. But when you take it back to history, when you take it back to that good old 1948, you kind of feel for them a little bit like, God damn, they did what? And then they continue to do it. And now the whole world blames you for fighting back, for finally hitting back. These people been beating on you for 50, 60 years plus, and you finally hit them back, and now it is a problem. Boy, I mean, can you imagine, bro? That's like getting bullied all your years in high school. You finally whoop the bully's ass and they expel you. It's like, bro, like really?
Up the infrastructure that it needs to survive. The answer is the Israeli occupation. Even before October 7th, the UN was warning that within a few years, Gaza would not be livable because of the inhumanity of the siege. So there's your answer. You can criticize Hamas. There's plenty to criticize there. My friends who live in Gaza are not fans of Hamas. They would love to have somebody different. But I'm not going to hold occupied people accountable for the crimes of their occupiers. And unless you understand that Gaza has been subjected to a criminal blockade as part of one of the world's longest running and cruelest military occupations in the world, we're not going to be able to resolve this conflict.
Right. And Rabbi Shmuley, I mean, the clear reality, surely, is that unless you afford Palestinians the same basic human rights as their Israeli neighbors, you are never going to have peace in that region, ever. Why would you? Why, if one group of people, millions, are deprived the same basic fundamental human rights?
You know what I do say, bro? Israel just need to be real. Now, look, if they wanted a two-state solution, this could have been done. They're the higher power in this situation. They have all the cards. If they wanted a two-state solution, that could have been done at any time. Anytime. But the problem is, though, Israel don't want that. But here's the second problem. If you honestly want peace with the Palestinians to make sure this never happens again, you got two options. Two-state solutions, or, well, to be put quite bluntly, kill all the Palestinians. I know, right? It's like, yo, Seth, you for real? Like, bro. And I'm like, yeah, actually I am. Those are the only two options. Either you give them their two-state solution, or, well, eliminate them all. I know, fucked up, but what do you think? You're going to displace them? And when you don't think they're not going to come back for the land that they got displaced out of? Shit, they might hit us too while they at it.
Across a border as their neighbors, why would they not always want to resist that?
First of all, they were granted complete human rights. Israel enacted a total and complete military and civilian withdrawal from Gush Katif, Gaza, 2005. My children were some of the last, even though we're Americans, last children to actually plant trees on a Jewish holiday. They were cut down by Hamas later because all of this was used, everything was used in order to attack Israel. My my issue with Aaron is that there's a difference between opinion and fact. Aaron, I say respectfully, I think that you have really permanently undermined your credibility by just such a stream of fabrication that it defies imagination. Did you really just say that the Palestinians only got 22% of the mandated Palestine? You know it's the exact opposite.
No, I didn't say that.
No. You said I should interrupt you, so you won't interrupt me. Thank you.
I didn't say that.
I appreciate your respect.
Well, he's disputing you said it. Well, hang on,
you did say it.
Well, what did he say? Hang on, let's just clarify.
I said that the Arab League offered Israel a huge compromise for Palestinians, in which Palestinians would accept just 22% of their historic homeland.
Okay, let's go to the facts. Let's go to the facts.
And get a Palestinian state.
No, you won't interrupt me, please, because I didn't interrupt you, please. Listen,
they're hell-bent on
why don't you finish?
I'm sorry, but there was no way that deal was going to work. And I'm tell you why. Because how do you negotiate with people who don't believe that this is your historic homeland and this was always their historic homeland, and you're pretty much in their mind asking them to have a small part on their historic homeland? You got to understand where the Jewish people are coming from. This is their position. I don't think even the Palestinians truly understand that. I'm like, bro, you understand that their position is that this shit is theirs. So you trying to say, oh, our historic homeland, this is where we want to be. No, they're looking at you like, no. This is our historic homeland that we're letting you on in their mind. Or according to their religion.
Finish interrupting me, and when you're finished, then I'll continue. Go ahead. Finish interrupting me.
I answered your question.
Thank you. So let me continue. Everyone knows that Winston Churchill actually wrote that on a Sunday afternoon, he created the nation of Transjordan. He was the colonial secretary. He cut off 80% of the Balfour Declaration 1917, biblically mandated Palestine, and he gave it to Jordan. It was a reward for people who don't live there, the Hashemites. He brought King Abdullah and his brother King Faisal. Faisal was kicked out of Syria. And Abdullah was killed in Jordan. Somehow the Hashemites, continue there till this very day. They're not native Jordanians. You and I both know that. They cut off 80% of the Jewish homeland and created Transjordan. That is a fact. Winston Churchill. Now let's go on. Even then, with the 20%.
Remember, we're talking about the Greater Israel. That's what he's talking about. Remember, now, if you know about Greater Israel and it's what these people believe that they should have, and I ain't gonna lie, kind of seems like they're pushing towards it with Golem Heights and all that, and kind of approaching on other nations' land and grabbing little small parts of it. Kind of sounds like they're going for the whole Greater Israel strategy. And that's what he's pretty much saying that. Jordan took a good part of Greater Israel. And if you look at the map of Greater Israel of what they wanted it to be, then yeah, it's a big part. And if you actually look at the plans of Greater Israel, you'll be like, yo, you know how much Muslim countries told you to have to step on to achieve this? It's almost asinine that they even have the idea, but hey, we'll leave it to it. We'll leave them to it. Because with the help of America, anything's possible.
No, you're interrupting me again because you don't want to hear facts. But you're going to hear these facts, and then when I finish, I won't interrupt you. How about that?
Okay,
let's have a civil dialogue. 1936, you say that in 1936, the Peel Commission launched by the British was because of Arab violence before there was even a Jewish state. It started with an Arab blockade and a boycott, and then it became full violence. So they sent the Peel Commission, and the Peel Commission divided the country into two, and the Arabs rejected it. Then November 1947, in the Queen's Museum, which I drive by whenever I land in LaGuardia Airport or JFK, that was the UN headquarters. They voted again a partition plan where the Jews got a tiny bit of that 20%. The Arabs rejected it, launched two wars, 1947, 1948. 1956, Israel withdrew completely from the Sinai, which they conquered. 1967, after they conquered everything that we're debating right now, Moshe Dayan, the defense minister, went to the Arabs and said, we want to give it all back. They went to Khartoum and they responded with the three no's. No to recognition, no peace, and no legitimacy. These are all facts. You can destroy your credibility as a scholar if you wish. Finally, Ehud Olmert offered them 96% of the West Bank, and they rejected it. And then Bill Clinton, who we Jews don't really consider a great friend of Israel, wrote in his memoirs that he told Arafat, I am a failure, and you are the reason I'm a failure. He gave you everything. Now, finally, one final point. Well, Pierce, when you asked me a very valid question, why should the Palestinians not resist when they're given full rights? There are no soldiers in Gaza. Israel dismantled its own communities. They used their soldiers to break down houses of my wife's cousins. And then Aaron says there was
he just had a Freudian slip. I think he meant to say Gazans, but he said Israel. But that's exactly what Israel is doing, though. knocking down buildings of people's families. I mean, we're not really knocking them down, but blowing them up.
Blockade, and they could build anything. How did they build an underground network larger than the London?
And shout out my man droning in the scenery. Hold on, did I miss anybody else? Oh yeah, okay, good. Shout out to my man droning in the scenery. He says Shmuley. Yeah, I don't got Rabbi Shmuley. He says Shmuley is a demonic possession individual. I'm sorry, but a demonic possessed individual. I believe that's what you meant. But and shout out droning in the scenery and my man Fox Chase and the rest of the supporters, man. Appreciate y'all. All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep cooking.
Tube that I just took to get here. If there was a blockade, the London Tube is pretty impressive. Do you know that Hamas used the hundreds of billions of dollars they got not to build one bomb shelter, not one electricity plant, which could have answered Pierce's issue about they used it all to build a terror network for their fighters and then use babies. And you say about Jewish supremacy. I want to stand unequivocally with a yarmulke and a beard. I believe as a Jew that God loves every Palestinian child as much as a Jew. And everyone that died is because of Hamas, Hamas. Right. Thank you.
Okay, Omar, what do you respond to that?
See, and this is where I'm just like, I don't think he's one of them Talmudian Jews, because I don't think a Jew who actually practiced the Talmud and he say something like this, or he's just playing for the camera. Both can be true. So either one is true. So here's the thing. It's it's kind of hard to think that he's just one of these people who just want to eliminate all Palestinians when he just said I think God loves them just as much as he loves us. I think they're all equal. But then here's the thing though, is do you not know what's going on? Do you not know what your government leadership is doing? This is all I really want to understand. Does Rabbi Shmuley truly understand what's going on in Gaza? And if he did, would he change his mind? Because the way the man talks is almost as if, honestly, the way a lot of these Israeli pundits talk is almost as if they don't even know what's really going on, or they're just lying their ass off. They know what's going on, and they know they're committing a genocide, but they just want to know if they can get the job done before everybody.
Sure. I mean, first, it is quite rich to hear Rabbi Shmuley complain about anybody interrupting. He's pretty much a three-trick pony. He's either interrupting, or he's lying, or he's smearing people.
Ad hominem. Are you really going to get into ad hominem this early in the debate? Do you really have to personalize it? Deal with the facts, please.
There's the first trick.
Stop the ad hominem attacks.
Trick.
Go ahead.
He's demonstrating it.
Please don't do the ad hominem,
demonstrating his first trick for you right now. In fact, Piers, frankly, if your audience watching at home were playing a drinking game in which they took a shot every time he either lied or interrupted.
You know what? I hear you, big dog. Trust me, 10. I hear you. But guess what though? 15,000, right? And I hear you, but IDF soldiers and American politicians were signing missiles and bombs that we were dropping on women and children in Gaza. So what's your argument on that? Hey, if we can, you want to pull that out, then we can also pull that out as well. I mean, shit. You can't just paint one side as the villain here. They both
half of your audience would be dead before
this is just ad hominem. Do you know facts or not? Do you want to debate fact, or do you want to insult me?
Are you going to keep interrupting? Are you going to keep complaining about interrupting and then do your own interrupting? Are you just going to demonstrate your hypocrisy to everyone on television?
Here we go. Hypocrisy, liar. We know what you think about Jews. Debate the facts. Forget the evil me and debate the facts.
Unbelievable level of hypocrisy.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Shout out Jordan in the scenery. He says he is the Mossad media agent talking head. Yeah, him and that one guy that used to be I guess he's the ex-minister of defense or whatever for Israel. Yeah, they had him on him, bro. I mean, he's a better debater than Shmuley. I'll tell you that. He's a way better debater than Shmuley. But yeah, he's definitely a Mossad media agent. I'm 90% on that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm 90-10 on that.
You are demonstrating your hypocrisy right now by continually interrupting when you don't like what you're hearing. I'll set the insults if that's even possible with dealing with people like you. Now, Rabbi Shmuley actually fully understands that the reason why there's no electricity in Gaza is because Israel. Can you be quiet? Can you be quiet and let me finish what I have to say? Rabbi Shmuley knows extremely well that the reason why there is no electricity in Gaza is because Israel bombs the infrastructure in Gaza and then puts Gaza under siege and does not allow Palestinians to rebuild their own power plants. They've created a situation of dependence where Gaza cannot survive on its own economically. It has to depend on Israel. And that is by design because Israel wants to be able to shut off the electricity at any point. Rabbi Shmuley knows this, but he tries to play on the uninformed audiences. He takes them for fools and hopes that they won't be able to see through the idiocy that he's actually demonstrating right now.
So now I'm an idiot.
Anybody with a
No, my friend, I am being what you called a independent thinker on the situation. I mean, trust me, my man, I voted for Trump. So I hear what you're saying because the left talking point is pro-Palestine, but doesn't mean that it's a primarily leftist thing. Like, bro, what's so wrong about me understanding the Palestinians' plight? Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's not a leftist talking point. It's just me understanding the history of the conflict. So what? You're telling me pretty much speaking on the Palestinians' history and the Israeli history is what, a Nazi leftist talking point? No, it's just me understanding the history of what's going on and speaking accurately on it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just say that the Jews are in the right because they're homeland, because I'm not Jewish. So therefore, I can't add that religious morality to it. Like, I'm not. All I'm going to add is an ethical morality that I grew up with of, I don't think it's right that you can just walk into somebody's land and take that shit and call it your own. I don't think it's right. I don't care what religion you practice. I don't care who you are. I don't think it's right. That doesn't make me a leftist, Nazi, or even somebody on the left. That just makes me somebody who's just honestly a free thinker on the situation or a critical thinker on the situation.
Idiot. Come on, any other insults?
Will understand
Have
very
you got
well.
a thesaurus?
Because it's a pretty lazy point when you just stamp it with religion. It's so easy to walk past something gruesome or something like complicated, where you can just be like, okay, I'm Jewish, it's our land, or okay, I'm Christian, I'm evil evangelist, I believe the Jews should have it, or okay, I'm Muslim, jihad. It's so easy just to just wrap it up like that. It's so easy, but when you critically think about it, you gotta put some layers back here. Gotta pull some layers.
The reason why Gaza is not free is because Israel prevents it
Google
from being
more
free.
personal insults. You can't deal with a single historical fact that I said, so you've called me an idiot, hypocrite, a liar. Let me tell you something. See, this is what we call classic anti-Semitism.
You think your narrative is made up of facts?
I quoted to you the Peel Commission, the UN.
And that's the crazy part, though. It seems like when you kind of talk about this, for some reason, like I said, mainly when we're judging this situation, when we're judging Israel for massacring like about 40K women and children, like we're mainly talking about Israeli leadership. We're not talking about all Jews. That's asinine. Not every Jew got together on a cell phone call and said, yep, I'm in agreement, bomb them. No, that's just ridiculous. No, it's a bunch of elite Israelis in Israel that got together and said, hey, October 7th, they got us fucked up. We're about to fuck their life up. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, it's about as simply put as that. And now the history behind it, we can go a little bit deeper into, but like I said, most of y'all ain't willing to listen.
The Omer deal, you cannot respond to a single one. So what do you have to do? Ad hominem. Deal with me as a person and try to suppress your hatred for Jews. Thank you.
Yes, quiet down. Yeah,
again, wrong. Hamas talking numbers were 100,000. If you don't know, 40K was the one that Hamas and Israel decided to agree on, but 100K is what Hamas was trying to say. I was like 100K. It's crazy. So you're lucky I ain't good. Those are the real Hamas numbers. It's 100K. And shout out Droning in the Senior. He says history of the issue is 3,000 years of warfare. Yeah. Well, if you want to just simplify it to 1948, it's a little bit easier for people to digest. If you want to take it back to 1890, then now you're just going like, all right, now it gets a little complicated with that one. Now you're getting the Rothschilds involved.
Again, the smear of anti-Semitism, that's the second trick. Really, if people are taking shots, I mean, try to keep track of how much alcohol they're consuming at this point. So the reason why there has not been a Palestinian state, and by the way, if you're going to pull up Bill Clinton, that's fine. By all means, why don't you try pulling up Jimmy Carter, who's been very clear about the fact that the reason why there has not been a resolution to this conflict is because Israel insists on maintaining an illegal occupation of the Palestinian territories and denies Palestinians any freedom. And so you hear Shmuley here claiming that Israel allows Palestinians to be completely free and have full rights, but that is belied by every single major human rights organization in the entire world. And so Shmuley was basically saying that you have to believe him and Israeli propagandists when it comes to the issue of human rights, instead of believing our own eyes, instead of believing major human rights organizations, and actually documented facts of what is unfolding on the ground. And that is that Palestinians have no freedom, no dignity, no opportunity, all due to Israel squeezing them under a brutal occupation and looking for ways to get rid of them. That is at the core of the so-called conflict.
Okay, let me ask you, Rabbi Shmuley, a different question, which is that
His logic, he's saying that. Well, now, and this is why his logic is a bit like it has some points to it. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's current prime minister, did fund Hamas at a certain time. That money could have been used to fund that attack on October 7th. So could this have been a plot by Israel to go ahead and get the Palestinians out of the way by making them strike first? Like, it's kind of like that bully that kind of want to F up the weak kid, and he bullies them until the weak kid finally hits him, and now the bully got full reign to beat his ass. It's kind of like that. It's like they were just picking at the Palestinians until they finally had enough. It's like, well, how bad could we make it for you until you finally hit us, and now we got the green light to eliminate you?
It's been reported the Trump envoy,
and this is his lie. This is what I'm deciphering from what he's been saying,
to the Middle East is in direct talks now with Hamas. Should the White House be directly negotiating with a prescribed terror group in this way?
Well, I want to know whether the official hostage negotiator, Adam Boehler, has gone rogue, or whether these are under orders of our elected president, who has the mandate of the people, having won the popular vote, the electoral college vote. Because what Adam Boehler said yesterday, I think it was on CNN, was shocking. He not only went rogue and started speaking to Hamas when the president had tweeted 2 days earlier, giving Hamas a binary choice: release the hostages or face hell, and every one of your fighters will be killed. And he said that he would give Netanyahu everything that he needed. The president wrote this himself on Truth Social, in order to annihilate every Hamas fighter, every terrorist dedicated to a second genocide, to a second Holocaust. Suddenly, Boehler comes along, goes behind the scenes. And by the way, Pierce, may I say, he criticized my dear friend Ron Dermer, who was you probably know I was a rabbi at Oxford University for 11 years. Ron Dermer was my student president. I'm one of the people who inspired him to move to Israel. He's now a chief negotiator for the hostages. He criticized Ron by name, which was very unfair. And then he said, Hamas aren't such bad people. They don't have horns.
I always do say, like, the Israelis or the Jews, y'all got to understand. It's like, bro, not everybody shares that view. Not everybody shares the view that is your promised land, that you wrestled an angel, that one of your ancestors wrestled an angel, and you got the land. Like, bro, not everybody's rocking with that. Not everybody's willing to sit there and let you read them their book and explain, yeah, this is the reason why we're taking your land, because this guy did this and now it's ours. Like, they're not hearing that. Like, y'all got to understand that. Like, majority of the world is not Jewish. You know that, right? Okay, cool. Now that y'all get that, like, bro, y'all can't just walk around pretty much saying it's always been their land, it's their promised land. Like, look, like, a lot of people ain't hearing that, especially the Muslims. Like, look how the Palestinians are feeling about it.
It's like saying, Hitler was nice to his dog. I've heard that too. When you have a genocidal organization whose actual charter says that we are dedicated not just to killing Rabbi Shmuley and all the IDF soldiers and all the women they gang raped. I was in the killing fields of Gaza 10 days after the bodies were still there, the stench of death was still there. Okay. When he says that they don't have horns and that they're nice people, you give them a degree of legitimacy, which is shocking. Imagine if people in Britain during the Second World War, knowing the Blitz, and then they found out about the extermination camps and what was done even to British prisoners of war, suddenly you heard that the Nazis aren't such bad people. In fact, I met with them and Himmler, we had tea, etc. That would be very offensive. And then he said, America is not a client state of Israel. I mean, come on. Does Adam Boehler not realize that he, as a Jewish American, is someone who Hamas also says in their charter they're going to kill? Let me quote the charter verbatim.
How much times do I gotta tell people I have no religious biases? When I make my opinions, when I come to formulate my opinions, speculations, and all that, I do it with no religious bias. I may do it with a religious, with a religious variable in it, due to who the people are we dealing with. If they do be Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, the variable will be added, but I have no religious bias.
The time will come when trees will call out and say, come, Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him. That includes Adam Boehler, includes his wife, includes his children. So when you say that these people are human, I'm sorry, there's no genocidal organization which is human. When Adam says to me, hey, they were elected in 2000, there was an election. Adam, are you freaking kidding me? You mean if Trump decides to abolish elections in 2028, you're going to be okay with it? If he says that he's going to go in 20 years to elections, you're making a mockery of democracy. And don't tell me it was a fair election. It was an election between the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Hamas, who hates Hamas, who hasn't visited Gaza in 20 years because he would be killed, probably even more than I would.
See, and this is what I don't like. See, look, y'all gonna start attacking other religions. That's why I have no religious bias, because all y'all do is gonna start attacking each other's religion. Like, dog, look, I get it. Like, there's definitely some questionable things in the Quran that you could talk about. There's some questionable things in the Bible you could talk about. There's questionable things in the Talmud you could talk about. So to sit there, that's what I'm saying. That's why I have no religious bias, because at that point, we're just gonna start like picking at it, like nitpicking at religions, trying to pick apart each weird thing that we see in there, each pedophile act, each supremacy act in there. That's why I choose to have no religious bias.
They took the Palestinian Authority
usually a religious variable is
candidates and they threw them off rooftops. They killed
them off rooftops.
Them. And by the way, I haven't heard either of you say a single word. You said about Syria. Adam, you said that Israel stole the Golan.
His name's Aaron, not
Aaron. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It was not intentional. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. And it's a beautiful biblical name. We'll connect on that. I hope you'll forgive me. Aaron. Adam's also a nice, beautiful name, but Aaron's a better name. Good biblical name. Moses' brother. You're a high priest. Did you really tell me that Israel stole the Golan, the Golan Heights? Did you really want Assad to have it while he was gassing Arab children with mustard sarin gas, with poison gas? Do you want Al-Julani? Do you want Al-Julani to have it right now? Did you watch the videos of what Al-Julani did to the Alawites over the past week? Have any of you seen a single demonstration? They took Arab men and shot them in the frickin' head, and then learning from Hamas, posted it all on Instagram and on X, and you guys haven't said one word. You know why? Because you don't really care about Arab.
All right, well, why don't we
demonize Jews?
Why do we let them get a word in anyways? I think Aaron has said something about this.
Syrian land
let Aaron respond to that, because I think you have been saying things about it.
Yeah. And guys, make sure you guys double tap the screen and like the video, man. I appreciate the support. And if you have any questions, comments, jokes, disagreements, super chat it in. We'll go ahead and engage with it, interact, have a nice little conversation, and go ahead and post it to the top of the screen so everybody else can, also engage with what you're saying. Appreciate the support, guys. Like I said, $2 and up. Let's keep it going. And if not, double tap that screen real quick.
Just a historical point. Israel stole the Golan Heights in 1967, long before Bashar al-Assad was in power. Second of all, if Rabbi Shmuley is upset,
let him speak, please.
Okay. If Rabbi Shmuley is upset with the atrocities currently being committed, he's right, by this Al-Qaeda offshoot that now rules Syria. He should be criticizing governments like Israel and the U.S., which took credit for this former Al-Qaeda leader taking power. Netanyahu, after Assad was overthrown, gave a grand speech saying we deserve credit for this because it was our crushing of Syrian allies, Hezbollah, plus, by the way, the hundreds of Israeli airstrikes on Syria over the years, and also arming insurgent groups that helped bring about Assad's fall. So if you're upset about that, Rabbi Shmuley, take it up with Netanyahu, who openly took credit for helping bring about the ouster of Assad. Now, I want to say something now. I'm not a religious person, so I can't claim to be a devout Jew. But I got to say, Rabbi Shmuley, you don't speak for me. Accusing people like my friend Omar of anti-Semitism simply because he wants the freedom of his people. It saddens me to see what people like you have done to the Jewish tradition. The suffering of my family, my great-grandparents perished in the Holocaust. They were murdered by the Nazis. And today, I have to tell you, I see you as the modern-day followers of the Nazis, supporting this mass murder campaign in Gaza, putting the people of Gaza in what even Israelis have called a concentration camp. It's the Israeli Jews of today, supported by American Jews, unfortunately, some, that are following in the footsteps of our oppressors. And I hope one day you can connect to your own humanity.
Oh, shit. I mean, well, let's see here. Yeah, lock them up in a camp, an open air camp. Yeah, pretty much make life hard for them. Yeah, make sure they don't got enough food, make sure they don't got enough water, electricity. You kill them indiscriminately, drop bombs, women and children. Don't give a fuck. Like, hey, man, if it means taking out 2 Hamas, I'll gladly take out a whole building of children. Israel, IDF logic, right? IDF logic, 2 Hamas, building of children. That equals out. That's cool. I know, IDF logic, right?
And the very best of your own tradition, which I believe in, to see just how horrible this modern state, this modern supremacist.
I'm sorry, but he didn't. I ain't gonna lie. I know I have to joke over that part, but yo, he did not just say that shit. He just literally told that Jewish man that, yeah, the Israel elites are kind of acting like, boy, I'm just gonna say it blunt, acting like Hitler. You pretty much saying them boys acting like Hitler. It's like y'all did the exact same thing this man did to y'all. Y'all can't see the how this matches up. Really? Like, do we need to write it out for y'all?
The state is not only for the Palestinians,
You
but the
can't
Jewish
seriously,
people as
Aaron,
well.
you can't seriously be saying that Rabbi Shmuley, one of the most high-profile Jews in the world, is a successor to the Nazis.
Is a Nazi.
I mean, that's a pretty
I am saying
despicable.
that.
That's a pretty despicable thing to say, isn't it?
He supports the mass murder of children in a concentration camp. What else am I supposed to?
May I
People
respond
being
to that?
put
May I
under a
respond?
I think you
starvation
should
siege.
respond to that.
These
yeah.
are Nazi
Okay, Aaron,
tactics. These are Nazi tactics.
Aaron, notice I have not once offended, used that hominem attacks against Omar or you. I have decided that I'm going to be
That's not true.
factual. No,
You called
excuse
him
me. You
anti-Semite.
won't interrupt me.
Calling people
Omar started
anti-Semites is apparently not an ad hominem.
excuse
Okay.
me. Omar started calling me a liar. He wouldn't deal with any facts, a hypocrite. He said I'm drunk on lies, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we call ad hominem, personal attacks. I've seen it whenever, and I debate everybody because I like Pierce, and this is why I love this show. I'm also a free speech absolutist. The person you just called a Nazi spent the past year with his friend Ron Dermer, who was condemned by Adam Boehler because of our close relationship from my years as rabbi at Oxford. He was my student president. And Bobby Kennedy Jr., the new HHS Secretary of Health.